What's up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments after you've watched the video, go ahead and throw them down in the comments section and hit that like button. It helps us so much. Today, we're launching the Home Buying Academy. Now, what that is we're going to go in depth on every single step of the home buying process. Whether you're a first-time buyer, you're upgrading, downsizing, or investing, we're going to have answers to every single question you can imagine, and we're going to go into deep detail on every step. We'll be dropping these videos every single week for as long as it takes to get through every single thing. We want you to walk away from this feeling confident that whoever you work with, you know the right questions to ask, knowing exactly the right people to call if you're in our particular area. And we want you to be confident that your home buying process is going to be as simple and easy as you can possibly make it. Now, as anyone that's ever bought a house before can tell you, things don't always go smoothly. Things do get complicated, but we want you to have every tool available to you to make sure that you get to close and that you accomplish your real estate goals. So without further ado, let's welcome in Donnell and Heather, and we will walk you through the entire pre-approval process and even give you some little ninja tricks at the end that can help you even if you think that you're not quite ready. All right, so I am a buyer and I just found this amazing house on Zillow. The pictures are incredible. I really want to go take a look at it. I call my realtor, Heather.
That's me.
And I say, hey, Heather, I found this really awesome house. I'd really love to take a look at it. What is my next step?
The first thing I ever ask a potential buyer is, have you met with a loan officer or spoken to a loan officer? Many people think that establishing a realtor is the first step. Really, establishing your loan officer and your realtor goes hand in hand, because without a loan officer, without a realtor, you cannot write an offer on anything. So once we establish whether or not you've spoken to a loan officer, if you have not, we will share with you that we have an in-house lender, Donnell Snyder, and we would pass your number to her and vice versa, so you and Donnell could talk to establish, are you really ready to buy? And if you're not, we will get you there.
And then just like as an addition, it's kind of important to me that your realtor and your loan officer have a good working relationship. It can work if they don't know each other, but it definitely helps if they have worked together before and they're a creative team to get things across the finish line. No two deals are exactly the same, so it's important to have people that can problem solve on the fly, and the better the team, the better your results are going to be.
Right. So when, as a buyer, the first time you call, the hardest part is picking up the phone. Hardest part, hands down. So don't ever be afraid to shoot a text or to have your realtor give the number and then, I make the call. The beauty about loans today, and you'll hear a lot of words like, oh, I need to get pre-approved. And the pre-approval process actually can be very simple. The first steps can be simple. We can be very techy and send you a link for online application. Or we can be a little bit more traditional, where you can meet me in person, sitting at a kitchen table at your home, come into the office, or even over a Zoom call. Part of the first steps in getting pre-approved is talking about your budget, talking about the great home you saw on Zillow, what that was priced at, and what that payment might look like. Do we have down payment availability? How much are we able to put down? What type of loan program we may need to get you there. And then when we talk about that payment, you'd be like, Donnell, I am not paying that. And so we work backwards and we find out what's comfortable in your budget. And we establish what that number looks like. What are interest rates doing? And then if all sounds good moving forward, then we talk about what documents do we need, what pay stubs and credit and things of that nature that we need to gather to do an approval. Now, don't get me wrong, a pre-approval, that can happen within just a couple hours if we're all prepared. If we need to make a game plan, we make a game plan. But the first part is just, let's have a chat.
Exactly. So just a couple of questions, things that I've heard. I've I've been thinking about buying a home for a while, and I've been watching the TikToks and maybe checking out a thing on YouTube here and there. What's the difference between a pre-approval and pre-qualification?
You know, Heather, do you want to talk about that? Since as a realtor, you do get clients coming to you that may have spoken to a lender and they're pre-qualified, and you're like, time out, hold on, let's talk about this.
A lot of times when buyers have come pre-qualified, the pre-qualification letter, if you read in the little bullet points that not everybody reads, it does say, this is subject to seeing your financials, seeing your W-2s, seeing what your down payment availability is. So a pre-qualification is normally ran off your credit and what you tell that loan officer. We hope that everybody understands their numbers as far as their paychecks. I would say 9 out of 10 times people actually make more money than they think because they don't know how to calculate income. So you may have told that loan officer, this is what I make, but you actually make more. And that may be you being able to buy a better house in a better neighborhood. So pre-qualification is more of what you verbally tell. It's not really what that loan officer has seen yet.
So it sounds like pre-qualification is more of kind of an estimate, whereas a pre-approval is more of a hard number.
Absolutely.
Right. So in the pre-approval process, you would be sending me your last 30 days pay stubs. You'd be sending me your 2 years of W-2s. You'd be sending me 2 months bank statements. You would be giving me permission to run your credit so I can see what your credit score is. And running your credit isn't just about the 3 different scores you have. It's also about what debts do you have, and us doing the math on what can we afford with our existing bills too. And when you meet with a loan officer, whether in person, over the phone, whatever it may be, we're calculating all of those numbers down into a detailed number and say, okay, if you go and you write an offer on that home on Zillow, I know that I am going to get your loan done. I am going to get it from start to finish, and you are pre-approved.
Right. Awesome. Another question I have, I know taking that first step can be difficult. It's difficult to talk to a stranger about finances. And one of the things I've also heard is, of course, anytime somebody pulls your credit, my credit's going to get dinged. Is that something that I should be concerned about at all?
Yes, you don't want to have 5 different loan officers, pulling your credit all at one time. Now, I do agree that you do need to talk to and get all the information you can, and if you want to, compare, you have every right to compare. But you want to be very mindful of how many times your credit, is pulled. You can get a really good feeling from someone just from a conversation, and you build that trust. So my first words aren't out to you like, hey, Jason, everybody has to pull your credit.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Let's dial it back. Let's talk a little bit.
Sure.
And then hopefully by the end of the conversation, there's comfort there in pulling the credit. When you pull your credit, it is going to sometimes have an adjustment of about 2 to 10 points sometimes. If you have multiple mortgage officers pulling it within, say, a 60-day time period, it is going to affect your score. But when an underwriter with the bank is looking at it, they're going to be like, okay, you've had all of these inquiries. Okay, what is it from? Oh, it's all from mortgage. Okay. But your score is going to be affected no matter what, so just be mindful.
One thing that I actually like about Donnell that has been a loan officer to many of my buyers, if they have come talking to a loan officer before, Donnell will actually say, if you have a copy of your credit report, let's at least start there. So Donnell has a better idea and is not shooting in the dark of what your credit score is. In the end, Donnell will need to run your credit score under her name, but at least we can start the conversation and see if it's a great fit.
Great. So let's say we get that far, you pull my credit, things aren't looking so hot on that portion. My income is great, but my credit's not so hot. Are there things that I can do in the short term that can fix my credit? And if we need to say have to fix quite a few things, will you be willing to work with me for, a year, 18 months even?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing that as you get to know your realtor and your loan officer, we tease and say, okay, you can't get rid of us. We're here with you every
true.
step of the way. We become, a bit attached to our clients. And as a realtor, you both know that we become a jack of all trades. We know a lot about everything, and I know realtors can speak to this too, not just myself as a loan officer, that we're here to make a plan. So if you're not immediately ready, there's things in the loan officer toolbox, as we like to call it, that we can do strategies. We have, simulators for credit scores, okay? If we were to pay down a credit card by this much, or if we were to have this credit card paid off, or heck, you know what, we need a little bit more credit, so I need you to go open a credit card and hold that for 6 months. We can make a strategy, we can make a plan. So whether it's a 30-day plan, 6-month, or 18 months, there's a lot of tools out there that we can adjust your credit score, and sometimes even do what's called a rapid rescore. That will put you in position even faster.
Awesome. And she's 100% right. Once you give us your information, you're going to be hearing from us a lot. We are going to make sure that if your goal is to buy a house, whether it's within the next month, 3 months, 6 months, all the way, as long as it takes, we're going to do our absolute best to get you guys there.
One of the things that I've heard people say is, why would you want to take a year to help me or 18 months to help me? You're commission based. This is how you make a living. Well, my thing is that means I have a built-in client later on down the road, and our success is your success and your success is our success. So it doesn't matter when the time is, it's when the time is right. You never want to be forced into a situation or in a bad loan or not take a little bit more to get 5 points better of a credit score to get a better interest rate. It's all about what is best for you long term, not as what is quick and fastest for us.
100%.
Amen.
And of course, we are commission based, but we're community based.
Yes.
So the better job we do, and you probably know the people that go above and beyond for you, you're going to refer to other people. You're going to tell other people how awesome of the job they did. So there is a little teeny bit of selfishness in us wanting to help you long term, because the better job we do for you, the more likely you are to refer us to somebody else. So, asking why we would want to spend that much time with you, we do this job because we love handing keys over to people, and we love getting people into their next house and the next house and the next house. We want you as a lifetime client, not a one-time client. So it only benefits us to work with people for as long as it absolutely takes.
And this is a perfect opportunity for a buyer myth. Buyers believe they pay us as their realtor to help them buy a home. That is not true. The seller is the one that always pays the listing agent and the buyer's agent. There is no cost to you to use us, so there is no ulterior motive for us.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like where there's a will, there's a way. No matter what is happening on your credit, there's a way through. There's a repair for it that we can get you credit worthy to get a mortgage.
Absolutely. There's, tips and tricks too. Sometimes it's a quick, easy fix. For example, Heather has recommended to many clients of a program, I believe it's called Opt Out.
It's optoutprescreen.com, and what it is you go online, you type in optoutprescreen.com. It will ask for your name, your phone number, your social security, your date of birth. And what that does is for the next 5 years, you won't get junk mail, which is a win-win. Your mailbox isn't as full and you don't have soft inquiries. Every time you get one of those in the mail that says, hey, you've been approved for $10,000 credit card, they've actually pulled your credit, which could bring it down. This is a trick that we've learned that could raise anybody from 2 to, we've seen as far as 30 points in a matter of 30 to 60 days. So you can still get credit. You can walk into JCPenney's and say, I'd like to apply for a credit card, but nobody can ever pull your credit for the next 5 years without you giving written or verbal permission, and it'll boost your score.
Awesome.
One of the other tips and tricks we have is when you need a little bit more credit, you have a little bit of credit history, but maybe you need an extra trade line, then we can recommend, if you have a family member that would authorize you as an authorized user on one of their established credit card accounts. Now we want this account to be, have been opened for, you say, at least 3 years would be nice, and for the credit card not to be maxed out. And heck, they don't even have to give you the credit card. You don't even have access to the account, but just that you're there as an authorized user.
To kind of bounce off of what Donnell just said is another tip or trick is to always try to keep your credit card under 39% of what you have on the card. By keeping it 39% or below, it will help pop up your credit. You don't have to pay off your credit card. We don't want to yo-yo, max it out, pay it off, max it out, pay it off. Just stay under that 39% or pay down to that 39% and your credit score will fly up.
Awesome. And then, of course, if worse comes to worse and you absolutely need it, there's always co-signers. It can be difficult to talk a family member or somebody into that, but if somebody is willing to, co-signing can be a major tool to help get you into a house. Okay, great. So let's say my employment record is good, my credit is very solid, but unfortunately I haven't been able to save as much as I wanted to over the last couple of years, but I really want to get in this house ASAP. Are there any options for me?
There is. We do have in California and down payment assistance programs. We actually have different variations of the program. There's different qualifications for those programs, and sometimes it is a great tool to get someone into the door of buying their house who has great credit score, like you're saying, great job, has the income, but we don't have enough down payment funds, to get there. And so there is 5 different, hold on. There's 3, but I don't want to give a number. So if we have the credit score, we have the income, but we need a little bit of assistance with the down payment, we do have down payment assistance programs that are based on different qualifications, and we can talk about those and try to fit which one is best for you and your future.
Yeah, and there are pros and cons to any of these down payment assistance programs. There's even pros and cons to grants and things like that may be available at the county level. And we'll do a video in the future kind of going more in depth on those, but just know that they're available if absolutely necessary.
Well, and I think also what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of times I hear, is there a first-time home buyer program, which is 100% financing? There is in certain areas. That's something we can go into, and not always do you need 3.5% down. You might have a great credit score. You might be a first-time home buyer and be able to do a 3% conventional. Conventional doesn't mean just 20%. So there's so much more to delve into here as far as what loan programs are available to.
Yeah, and sometimes too, you have your down payment, but you don't have the extra funds for your closing costs. And closing costs, we can always go into more detail later, like what does that actually mean? Mm-hmm. But when meeting with your realtor and your realtor going over different ways to write your offer on the home, sometimes your realtor can ask for a seller credit to help cover your closing costs as we shift into this market that we're in, that is a buyer market.
The other option right now with seller credits is, say you do have the money for your down payment and you do have the money for your closing costs. You can still ask for a seller credit to buy down the interest rate. This is something that is really saving your monthly payment. It could save anywhere from $80 to $200, depending on how much you buy down that interest rate. You will have to talk to your loan officer because you can only buy down to a certain point. But there are other programs out there right now of buying down a 2-year or a 1-year term as well.
Awesome. So in closing, I think that we've kind of made it clear that the absolute first thing that you need to do is talk to a lender. If you want to have that conversation through text messages and do everything online, that's totally fine. I know I've talked to some clients in the past who were really concerned about their credit worthiness and maybe even felt like a little bit embarrassed. But I think of going to a loan officer like I think of going to a doctor. They're not going to find anything that they've never seen before, and you probably are not even in the top 100 of worst cases that they've seen. If you're concerned about your credit, then you probably have better credit than you think.
True. Very true.
Well, and I think also what some buyers don't understand is when we set up appointments to show a home, some of these agents will not let us in without seeing the pre-approval letter to make sure that you are ready to go and you are not wasting the seller's time and you are not wasting the realtor's time. So it just makes it so much more seamless. And if you're in a competitive market and you need to write an offer within an hour or two to get your offer even looked at, if you haven't talked to that loan officer, you've lost that house. And do you really want to lose on your dream home by not talking to a loan officer? We're friendly, don't you think?
They are absolutely super duper friendly. Most loan officers are super duper friendly, but they are going to give it to you straight. But at the end of the day, your success is their success. Their goal is to get you into a home that doesn't just fit all of your needs, but fits into your budget and makes your life better, not worse.
And whether you're trying to buy at the age of 19, 20, 21, or your first home, one of my first transactions I ever did, the gentleman bought his first home at 72 years old. And I had people ask me, why would anybody at 72 years old want to buy a home? He wanted to make sure he had a home and that he owned a home before he was gone from here. So it doesn't matter what age you are, we will help you get there.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for sharing all this information today. If you guys are looking for any more information at all, please feel free to reach out. All of the links are down in the description. Please like and subscribe, and we'll continue this series along with a lot of other information about the community out here, about events that are coming up. This is going to be your one-stop shop for everything going on in the Central Valley and all information regarding real estate, mortgage, and our community.